The massive Velton starship descended through Earth's atmosphere like a dying whale, its hull scarred with blast marks and strange burn patterns that seemed to pulse with their own light. Kim watched from the observation deck of Stellar Industries as the alien vessel struggled to maintain altitude, its engine sputtering and releasing clouds of crystalline particles that sparkled in the afternoon sun, another broken alien toy. Muttered Jin Ho, one of the senior mechanics, as he joined her at the window. 31 this month. These space travelers can build ships that cross galaxies, but they can't figure out basic maintenance. Hyene wiped her grease-stained hands on her coveralls. Watching the ship's emergency landing sequence, the Velton vessel was beautiful in its alien design, all flowing curves and translucent panels that seemed to breathe with internal light. But she could see the problem immediately. The quantum resonance chambers were completely out of syn. See, causing the entire propulsion matrix to collapse. Kim, Director Park's voice cut through the hangar like a plasma cutter. Get away from that window and back to work. Those alien problems aren't your concern. She turned to face her supervisor, a man whose hatred for her seemed to grow stronger each day. Park had made it clear from her first day that he believed women, especially young women who had earned their engineering degrees through night school, had no place in the galaxy's premier starship repair facility. The Velton ship finally touched down in the main docking bay with a sound like breaking crystal. Immediately, a team of Stellar Industries' best engineers swarmed the vessel, their diagnostic equipment humming as they began their analysis. Hyene could see Captain Velter emerge from the ship at all, graceful being with skin that shifted colors like oil on water and eyes that held the wisdom of centuries. For 3 weeks, she watched the engineering team struggle with the alien technology. The Velton quantum core was unlike anything in human databases. It operated on principles that seemed to defy the laws of physics as humans understood them. Every attempt to restart the system resulted in cascade failures that left the senior engineers scratching their heads and muttering about impossible alien science. Hyene had tried to offer suggestions several times, but Park dismissed her ideas without even listening. Stick to changing oil and replacing worn parts. He would say, leave the real engineering to people with actual qualifications. What Park didn't know was that Hyene had been studying advanced quantum mechanics since she was 12 years old. Her father, Dr. Kim Min-soo, had been one of Earth's most brilliant physicists before his death in a mysterious laboratory accident 5 years ago. He had filled her childhood with discussions about the nature of reality, consciousness, and the strange ways that quantum particles seem to respond to observation and intention. On the 21st day, the senior engineering team finally admitted defeat. The Velton quantum core was declared unfixable by human standards. Captain Velter accepted the news with the stoic grace of his species. But Hyene could see the disappointment in his shifting eyes. His ship would be scrapped, and he would have to find passage home on another vessel. That's when Director Park spotted her watching from across the hangar floor. A cruel smile spread across his face as he approached her workstation, followed by a small crowd of mechanics and engineers who sensed entertainment coming. Look at this Velton ship, Kim, Park announced loudly, gesturing toward the massive vessel. Their quantum core is completely seized. Our best engineers, people with decades of experience and advanced degrees, spent 3 weeks on it and declared it unfixable. His voice dripped with mockery as other workers began to gather round. But maybe our junior mechanic thinks she can do better than the experts. The crowd chuckled, and Hyene felt heat rise to her cheeks. Park's public humiliations had become a regular source of entertainment for some of the workers. She glanced at the towering alien engine through the bay window, its crystalline structure still pulsing with dying energy like a wounded heart. "I'll take a look," she said quietly, her voice barely audible over the ambient noise of the hangar. Park's Laugh was sharp and cruel. Did you hear that? Everyone. Kim thinks she can fix what our top engineers couldn't even diagnose properly. He stepped closer, his voice dropping to a menacing whisper that still carried to the gathered crowd. You have 48 hours. When you fail, and you will fail, maybe you'll finally accept that you don't belong here. Maybe you'll find yourself a nice desk job somewhere and stop pretending to be something you're not. The crowd began to disperse, some shaking their heads in pity, others placing bets on how quickly she would give up. Jin Hope was beside her, his expression sympathetic. "Don't let him get to you," he whispered. "Park's been trying to get rid of you since day one. He's just looking for an excuse." As the hangar returned to its normal rhythm of activity, Hyane stood alone beside her workstation, watching the alien ship through the reinforced windows. The Velton vessel seemed to call to her, its quantum signature creating subtle harmonics that only she seemed to notice. She touched the worn leather notebook in her pocket, her father's final gift, filled with equations and theories that the scientific community had dismissed as impossible tonight. When the hangar was empty and she could work without Park's interference, she would need those forbidden equations. Her father had always believed that the universe held secrets waiting for the right mind to unlock them. Perhaps it was time to test that theory. Captain Velter approached her as the day shift ended, his color-shifting skin now displaying patterns of curiosity and hope. "You are the one who will attempt to repair our vessel?" he asked, his voice like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. "I'm going to try," Hyane replied, meeting his ancient eyes. "Your people's technology isn't as alien as everyone thinks. I have some ideas." The Velton captain studied her for a long moment, his skin shifting to deeper hues of respect. "There is something different about you, young engineer. Something that resonates with the quantum frequencies themselves. Perhaps you're exactly what our ship needs." The hangar fell silent as the night shift ended, leaving only the soft hum of life support systems and the distant pulse of the dying Velton engine. Hyane waited until the last worker disappeared through the exit before making her way to the mess of alien starship. Emergency lighting cast long shadows across the floor, making the crystalline vessel look like a sleeping dragon. She climbed through the ship's entrance hatch, her boots echoing in the empty corridors. The Velton interior was breathtaking, walls that seemed to grow rather than be built, with flowing organic curves that pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. Everything felt alive, as if the ship itself was a living creature rather than just a machine. The quantum core chamber stood at the heart of the vessel, a cathedral-sized space dominated by a towering crystal formation that reached from floor to ceiling. The core should have been blazing with energy, but now it flickered weakly, like a candle in the wind. Fractal patterns of light crawled across its surface, following pathways that hurt to look at directly. Hyane pulled out her father's worn leather notebook and opened it to the pages she had memorized. Years ago, Dr. Kim Mensu's handwriting filled the margins with equations that mainstream science had dismissed as fantasy. But as she looked at the quantum core, those impossible formulas suddenly made perfect sense. "Consciousness as a quantum interface," she whispered, reading her father's notes. "The observer effect isn't just about measurement, it's about intention shaping reality at the subatomic level." She approached the core with her diagnostic equipment, but the readings made no sense according to standard physics. The energy patterns were shifting in response to her presence. As if the crystal could sense her thoughts, she placed her hand on the smooth surface and felt a tingling sensation run up her arm. "Fascinating," came a voice from behind her. Captain Velter had entered the chamber silently, his skin now displaying patterns of deep blue curiosity. "Your species continues to surprise us, young engineer. Most humans cannot even comprehend our basic power systems. Yet you approach our quantum matrix as if you understand its true nature. Hyena didn't remove her hand from the crystal. It's not purely alien technology, is it? There's something familiar about these energy patterns. The Velton captain's skin shifted to show complex geometric patterns. You have an unusual sensitivity to quantum frequencies. Tell me, what do you see when you touch the core? She closed her eyes and let her consciousness drift into the crystal matrix. Suddenly, she could see the energy flows as clearly as water flowing through pipes. The quantum pathways were tangled and broken, but she could trace them back to their original design, and that design was terrifyingly familiar. These mathematical principles, she breathed, opening her eyes and pulling out her father's notebook. They matched theories that were developed on Earth decades ago. Her fingers flew through the pages, comparing equations with the energy patterns flowing through the dying core. The correlation was perfect to be coincidence. The Velton quantum drive operated on principles that her father had theorized about in his secret research that had been classified and buried by the Galactic Council. Captain Velter, she said, her voice shaking with the implications of her discovery. Where did your people acquire this technology? How long have you been using quantum cores like this? The alien skin pattern shifted to show what she was beginning to recognize as confusion. Our ancestors developed these systems over 1,000 years ago, passed down through generations of quantum engineers, but the original creators, their identity was lost to time. Hyena felt the blood drain from her face. She pulled up her father's research notes on her tablet, cross-referencing them with the core's energy signatures. Every pattern matched, every equation aligned perfectly. This wasn't convergent evolution or parallel development, this was theft on a galactic scale. Someone stole human research, she whispered. The words barely audible in the vast chamber. They took Earth's quantum theories and distributed them to other species while keeping humanity in the dark about our own discoveries. Captain Velter moved closer, his skin now showing rapid shifts between colors, a sign of extreme agitation. That would be impossible. The Galactic Council maintains strict protocols about technology sharing. No species is allowed to. The Galactic Council. Hyena interrupted, her father's warning suddenly crystal clear. They're the ones who classified my father's research as dangerous to galactic stability. They're the ones who've been keeping humanity from advancing. She turned back to the quantum core, her anger making the crystal respond with brighter pulses of light. The patterns in the crystal began to stabilize, responding to her emotional state. Her father's theories about consciousness interfacing with quantum fields weren't just academic speculation, they were describing a real ability that humans possessed. My father discovered that human consciousness can directly influence quantum systems, she explained, watching the core's energy levels slowly climbing. We are not just observers of quantum mechanics, we're participants. We can guide quantum states through focused intention. Captain Velter's skin showed deep purple waves of amazement. The ancient texts speak of the consciousness weavers, beings, who could shape reality through will alone. But we thought they were myths. The quantum core suddenly flared with brilliant light, its energy levels spiking as Hyena's understanding deepened. The crystal formations throughout the chamber began to resonate in harmony, creating a sound like singing glass. The ship's systems started coming back online, corridor lights flickering to life for the first time in weeks. They weren't myths, Hyena said, her voice filled with growing certainty. They were humans. And someone has been working very hard to make sure we never learned what we're capable of. She thought about her father's mysterious death 5 years ago. The official report had blamed equipment failure, but now she saw the truth. Dr. Kim Min-soo had been on the verge of proving that humans possessed natural quantum engineering abilities. He had been silenced before he could share that knowledge with the world. The accident that killed my father, she said, her hands trembling as she worked with the quantum matrix. It wasn't an accident at all. Someone murdered him to keep these secrets buried. The realization hit her like a physical blow. Her father had died because he had discovered humanity's true potential. And now she was walking the same dangerous path, uncovering truths that powerful beings would kill to keep hidden. But as the Velton ship's systems continued to respond to her touch, as the quantum core sang with renewed energy, Hyene felt something. Her father never had. She wasn't alone. Captain Velter and his crew were witnesses to what humans could accomplish. The secret was already out, spreading beyond the reach of those who had tried to suppress it. The quantum revolution was beginning. There was no stopping it now. The second night in the Velton ship's quantum chamber felt different. The air itself seemed to vibrate with possibility as Hyene worked deeper into the crystal matrix than any human had ever gone before. Her father's equations flowed through her mind like music, each formula unlocking new pathways in the alien technology. That wasn't really alien at all. She had discovered something extraordinary during her first night of work. The quantum core wasn't just broken, it was operating far below its true potential. The Veltons had been using human technology for centuries without understanding its full capabilities. They had treated the quantum drive like a simple engine, when it was actually a gateway to manipulating the fabric of space-time itself. Consciousness as the key, she whispered, her hands dancing across the crystal surface. The core responded to her touch like a living thing, its internal structures reshaping themselves according to her intentions. She could feel the quantum particles aligning with her thoughts, reality bending to accommodate her will. The breakthrough came at 3 in the morning. As Hyene synchronized her brain waves with the quantum frequency, the entire core suddenly blazed with light that made the chamber bright as day. Energy readings spiked beyond anything the Velton instruments could measure. The ship's hull began to vibrate with harmonic resonance, and she realized she had just unlocked the true potential of human quantum engineering. Impossible. Captain Velter breathed as he rushed into the chamber, his skin cycling through colors of shock and wonder. The energy output, it's beyond anything our greatest engineers ever achieved. Hyene smiled, exhaustion and triumph mixing in her expression. Your ancestors weren't the only ones who built this technology. My species created the original theories, but we've been kept from using them. Until now, the quantum core hummed with perfect efficiency, its crystalline structure now glowing with patterns that seemed to extend into dimensions the eye couldn't quite follow. The ship's systems were coming online one by one, each subsystem enhanced. Beyond its original design, life support improved by 40%. Artificial gravity became so smooth it felt more natural than planetary gravity. Even the hull plating began to shimmer with energy fields that would make the vessel nearly indestructible. The performance readings exceed even our home world's finest engines. Captain Velter said, staring at his instruments in amazement. How did you accomplish this? Our quantum engineers trained for decades to achieve even basic maintenance on these systems before Hyene could answer. The sound of heavy boots echoed through the ship's corridors. She turned toward the entrance as Director Park burst into the chamber, flanked by 6 armed security guards in black tactical gear. Their weapons were drawn and trained on her, the red dots of laser sights painting her coveralls. Step away from the alien technology, Kim. Park snarled, his face twisted with rage and something that looked like fear. You've gone too far this time. Behind the security team stood a figure that made Hyene's blood run cold. Agent Torres from the consortium emerged from the shadows like a predator, his dark coat seeming to absorb light itself. The consortium was the galaxy's most secretive organization, officially tasked with preventing dangerous technology from falling into the wrong hands. Unofficially, they were the ones who decided which species got to advance and which ones stayed primitive. Ms. Kim, Torres said, his voice cold as the void between stars. "You've accessed classified research that was sealed for the protection of galactic civilization. Your father's work was buried for a good reason. Humanity isn't ready for this knowledge, Captain." Velta moved to stand beside Heine, his skin now showing the aggressive red patterns of a warrior ready for battle. "This human has done nothing wrong. She repaired our vessel using her own knowledge and skill. Torres didn't even glance at the Velton captain. The knowledge she used belongs to the consortium." Dr. Kim's research into consciousness quantum interfaces was deemed too dangerous for public access. "It threatens the stability of the galactic order." "You mean it threatens your control?" Heine replied, her hand slowly moving toward a hidden device in her tool belt. "You've been keeping humanity down, while giving our own discoveries to other species. My father figured that out, didn't he? That's why you killed him." The security guards tensed, their weapons focusing on her with deadly precision. Torres stepped closer, his eyes reflecting no warmth or humanity. "Your father was a brilliant man who couldn't understand the bigger picture. Some knowledge is too dangerous to share. Human consciousness interfacing with quantum systems could destabilize reality itself." "Funny," Heine said, pressing a concealed button on the transmitter hidden in her belt. "I think humanity is more ready." "Then you realize." The quantum engine suddenly flared with brilliant light as her modifications activated. But this wasn't just the core coming online, it was broadcasting. The quantum frequency she had discovered was transmitting across subspace, carrying her father's complete research to every human settlement in the galaxy. Throughout Earth's colonies, our mining stations and research outposts, human engineers suddenly felt something awakening in their minds. The quantum consciousness interface that had been suppressed for generations began to manifest naturally, triggered by the resonance pattern Heine was broadcasting from the Velton ship. "You fool," Torres shouted, pulling out a weapon that crackled with energy. "Do you have any idea what you've just done?" The ship's hull began to glow as the quantum core reached levels of efficiency that shouldn't have been possible. Reality itself seemed to bend round the vessel as Heine's consciousness merged more deeply with the quantum field. She could feel other human minds connecting to the network, engineers across the galaxy suddenly understanding technologies that had baffled them for years. Captain Velta's skin showed patterns of awe and terror. "The quantum cascade. It's spreading beyond your ship. Every quantum system within light years is resonating with the frequency." The security guards opened fire, but their energy beams bent round Heine as the quantum field responded to her instinctive need for protection. The ship's defensive systems activated automatically, creating shields that turned their weapons harmless. "The old order is ending," Heine declared, her voice now carrying harmonics that seemed to echo from multiple dimensions. "Humanity will no longer be kept in chains by those who fear what we might become." Torres stumbled backward as the quantum energy filled the chamber, his artificial composure finally cracking. "You don't understand the consequences. Human quantum consciousness could tear apart the fabric of space-time itself." "Then, maybe," Heine replied, her eyes now glowing with the same light as the quantum core. "It's time to weave it back together the right way." The breakthrough was complete. Across the galaxy, humanity was awakening to its true potential, and nothing would ever be the same again. The quantum field erupted from the Velton ship like a silent explosion of pure energy, washing over the Stellar Industries complex and racing outward across the city. The invisible wave carried something that had been locked away for generations, the awakening frequency that would unlock humanity's true potential. In the maintenance space 3 kilometers away, mechanically Dongwu was struggling with the Zephyrian transport's gravity drive when the wave hit him. Suddenly, the alien technology that had confused him for hours became crystal clear. He could see the energy pathways flowing through the machine like rivers of light, understanding not just how to fix it, but how to make it work better than its original designers ever intended. "What the hell?" he whispered, his hands moving, with newfound confidence as he recalibrated systems that had been declared impossible to repair. Round him, other human workers stopped what they were doing, staring at their tools and machinery with expressions of wonder and recognition. The same scene played out across the entire city. In the aerospace district, engineer Park Sujin felt her consciousness expand as she touched a broken Andorian fusion reactor. The quantum patterns became visible to her enhanced perception, showing her exactly how to restructure the magnetic containment fields for maximum efficiency. Her alien supervisors watched in shock as she completed repairs that their best technicians had deemed impossible. Back in the Velton ship, the quantum core blazed like a miniature star as High-NA's modifications reached their full potential. The energy readings were off the charts, but more importantly, the resonance frequency was spreading exponentially. Every human mind it touched became a new transmission point, creating a network of awakened consciousness that grew stronger with each connection. "This is what they feared," High-NA announced, her voice carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate from the quantum field itself. The consortium agents surrounding her had multiplied to a dozen, their weapons trained on her from every angle. But she felt no fear. The quantum field protected her, bending reality to ensure her safety. Agent Torres stepped forward, his face pale with the implications of what was happening. "You've doomed us all." Human quantum consciousness was suppressed because it's too powerful, too unpredictable. "Your species doesn't understand the responsibility that comes with this ability." "We understand perfectly," High-NA replied, her eyes now glowing with the same light that filled the quantum core. "Humans don't just build machines, we commune with them. Our consciousness can directly interface with quantum systems at the most fundamental level. We're not just engineers, we're quantum gardeners, able to guide technology toward its highest potential." The ship's hull began to transform round them, the Velton biometal responding to High-NA's enhanced consciousness. Walls became transparent, revealing the quantum energy flows that powered every system. The vessel was no longer just a machine, it was becoming a living extension of human will and creativity. Captain Velter moved to shield High-NA from the agents, his skin displaying the deep blue patterns of absolute conviction. "The consortium has been suppressing your species' true potential for centuries. They know that unleashed human ingenuity would revolutionize the galaxy, overthrowing the carefully maintained balance of power." More consortium agents poured into the chamber, their advanced weapons crackling with energy designed to disrupt quantum fields. But the field round High-NA had grown too strong, fed by the awakening consciousness of humans throughout the star system. Their shots simply bent round her like water flowing round a stone. "You don't understand," Torres said, his composure finally cracking as he raised his personal weapon. "The galactic order depends on controlled technological advancement. If every species developed quantum consciousness, the universe itself could become unstable. Reality might collapse under the weight of competing wills." "Maybe the current order needs to collapse," High-NA said, her consciousness now spanning far beyond the confines of the ship. She could feel human minds awakening on mining stations throughout the asteroid belt, on research outposts orbiting distant gas giants, on colony worlds dozens of light years away. Each awakened mind became part of the growing network, sharing knowledge and understanding at the speed of thought. But it was already too late to stop what she had started during the night's work. While the consortium agents were gathering their forces, High-NA had done more than just repair the Velton ship. She had used the quantum communication rays to transmit her father's complete research across every communication network in the system. The data packets were now racing through hyperspace relays, spreading to every human settlement in the galaxy, on the mining world of Kepler-4b. Engineer Kim Tai-hyun received the transmission and immediately understood why the Zirian mining equipment had never worked properly for human crews. The machines were designed for species with limited quantum sensitivity. As his consciousness expanded, he began modifying the equipment to work in harmony with human awareness, increasing efficiency by 300%. The revolution was spreading faster than the consortium could contain it. On the research station orbiting Proxima Centauri, Dr. Choi Min-ho decoded the quantum consciousness interface and immediately began applying it to the station's experimental warp drive. Within hours, he had achieved faster-than-light travel, using principles that existing physics claimed were impossible. "You've started something that will consume the galaxy," Torres warned, his weapon now shaking in his hands. Human consciousness interfacing with quantum systems at this scale. It's never been attempted before. You could tear apart the fabric of space-time itself. The quantum core pulsed with increasing intensity, its light now visible from space. As it transformed the entire Velton ship into a beacon of human potential, the vessel's biometal hull began to sprout new configurations. Guided by Heine's subconscious desires for improved functionality, weapon systems became more precise, shields became adaptive, and the propulsion system achieved efficiency levels that violated known physics. "Then maybe it's time to weave space-time back together properly," Heine replied, her consciousness now touching quantum fields throughout the local stellar group. She could feel the universe responding to human will, reality becoming more malleable and responsive to conscious intention. Captain Velta's skin showed patterns of deep reverence as he watched the transformation. The ancient prophecies spoke of a species that would bridge the gap between mind and matter, between consciousness and creation. We thought they were myths, but they were talking about humanity. The quantum revolution had begun, and nothing in the galaxy would ever be the same. Across dozens of worlds, human engineers were discovering they could do more than just maintain alien technology. They could improve it, enhance it, and eventually transcend it entirely. The age of human limitation was ending, and the age of quantum consciousness was just beginning. The Galactic Council chambers had never seen anything like it. 3 months after the quantum awakening began, representatives from over 200 species gathered in the massive crystalline structure orbiting the neutral world of Harmony Prime. But today, for the first time in galactic history, a human sat at the center of the great circular assembly as an equal partner rather than a petitioning colonist. Heine Kim walked across the polished floor toward the speaker's podium, her footsteps echoing in the vast space. Above her, the dome showed a real-time view of the galaxy, where hundreds of human-designed ships now moved between the stars like schools of luminous fish. Their quantum engines left trails of shimmering energy that made the very fabric of space-time sing with harmonic frequencies. The transformation had been beyond anyone's wildest dreams. Within weeks of the quantum consciousness awakening, human engineers across the galaxy had achieved breakthroughs that redefined what was possible. They had developed faster-than-light communication systems that transmitted thoughts directly between minds across galactic distances. Matter replication technology allowed them to create complex materials by simply imagining their atomic structure. Most remarkably, they had mastered localized gravity manipulation, creating ships that could dance through space like living creatures. Ambassador Zixithara of the Hegemony Council rose from her crystalline throne, her multiple eyes reflecting centuries of rigid tradition being shattered overnight. "Representative Kim," she said, her translator converting her harmonic speech into human language, "your species has exceeded all projections. The technological advances achieved in mere months would typically require centuries of development." Heine nodded respectfully. The rigid hierarchy that had kept humanity as second-class citizens for generations had crumbled so quickly it left the established power scrambling to adapt. Species that had dismissed human primitive technology just months ago were now desperate for partnerships and knowledge exchanges. Honored representatives, Hyena began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustic systems. We stand at the threshold of a new age. The quantum consciousness interface isn't just about technology, it's about understanding that. Consciousness itself is the fundamental force that shapes reality. Behind her, a holographic display showed human colonies throughout the galaxy, on the mining world of New Sol. Engineer Young Ho-jin had transformed the entire operation by teaching the mining robots to respond to human consciousness. The machines now worked with unprecedented efficiency, guided by the subtle thoughts and intentions of their human partners. Production had increased by 500%, while environmental damage dropped to nearly zero. The Andromedan representative, a being of pure energy contained within a crystalline matrix, pulsed with curiosity. Your species' approach to technology integration is unlike anything we have observed. You treat machines as partners rather than tools. Because that's what they become when consciousness interfaces with quantum systems, Heine explained. We don't just program machines, we commune with them. We share our intentions, and they respond by optimizing themselves in ways their original designers never imagined. On the agricultural world of Terra Nova, Farmer Park Soo-young had demonstrated this principle by interfacing her consciousness with automated farming systems. The machines didn't just plant and harvest crops, they understood the subtle needs of each plant, adjusting soil composition and water distribution in real time. Crop yields had tripled, and the food was more nutritious than anything produced by conventional methods. A disturbance near the chamber's entrance caught everyone's attention as Director Park entered with a delegation of human engineers. He walked directly to where Heine stood, his expression showing genuine respect and perhaps a touch of shame for his past behavior. Representative Kim, he said formally, though his voice carried warmth that had never been there before. The engineering teams have completed the modifications to the orbital shipyards. We're ready to begin production of the new quantum-conscious vessels. Heine smiled at the man who had once tried to humiliate her. Thank you, Director Park. Your leadership in the transition has been invaluable. Park straightened, his pride now focused on humanity's achievements rather than his own position. I owe you more than just professional respect. I owe you an apology. I never understood what humans were truly capable of. My prejudices blinded me to the potential that was right in front of me. The transformation in human society had been as dramatic as the technological revolution. The quantum consciousness network had created a level of empathy and understanding that made old conflicts seem petty and meaningless. When engineers could literally share their thoughts and experiences, discrimination based on appearance or background became impossible to maintain. Hyena looked up through the council chamber's vast transparent walls at the stars beyond. In the distance, a convoy of human-designed ships was departing for the Andromeda Galaxy, the first interstellar expedition in galactic history. Their quantum engines created ripples in space-time that looked like Aurora dancing among them. Stars, we're just getting started, she said, her voice filled with quiet confidence. My father believed that consciousness itself might be the universe's greatest technology. Now, we get to find out if he was right. The proof was already becoming evident. Throughout the galaxy, on the research station orbiting Vega, Dr. Lee Mi-young had successfully interfaced her consciousness with the station's quantum computer, creating the first truly sentient artificial intelligence that thought in harmony with human awareness. The AI didn't just process data, it experienced curiosity, wonder, and the joy of discovery. Captain Velter approached the human delegation, his skin showing patterns of deep respect. The Velton Fleet Council wishes to formally request partnership in exploring the Magellanic Clouds, our ships, enhanced with human quantum consciousness interfaces, could reach distances we never thought possible. Similar requests had been pouring in from across the galaxy. The Regelian Commerce Guild wanted human engineers to optimize their trade routes using quantum navigation systems. The Tau Ceti Research Collective was begging for access to consciousness-enhanced scientific instruments that could observe quantum phenomena directly through conscious intention. The revolution had gone far beyond technology. Human communities throughout the galaxy were sharing resources and knowledge through the quantum consciousness network with unprecedented efficiency. Conflicts that had simmered for generations were resolved through direct mind-to-mind communication that made deception impossible and empathy inevitable. A year later, the High-Ne Institute for Quantum Consciousness opened its doors on Luna, Earth's moon. The gleaming complex welcomed students from across the galaxy, not just humans, but members of every species curious enough to explore the boundaries between mind and matter. Velton navigators worked alongside Andromedan energy beings and even reformed consortium agents, were learning humanity's greatest secret in the Institute's central chamber, beneath a dome that showed the real-time quantum consciousness network spanning the galaxy. High-Ne addressed the first graduating class. You've learned that the boundary between mind and machine, between consciousness and creation, was never real. It was just another barrier waiting for someone brave enough to cross it. The graduates, humans and aliens working together, dispersed throughout the galaxy, carrying with them the knowledge that would reshape civilization itself. They built cities that responded to the needs of their inhabitants, spaceships that dreamed of distant stars, and communication networks that connected every conscious mind in the galaxy. As High-Ne stood in her father's old laboratory, now converted into a memorial and research center, she touched the worn notebook that had started it all. Through the windows, she could see children, human and alien alike, playing in parks where the trees were quantum-conscious organisms that sang lullabies and changed their colors to match the children's moods. The universe had become a place where consciousness and matter danced together in perfect harmony, where the dreams of thinking beings could reshape reality itself. Humanity had taken its place not as conquerors of the galaxy, but as gardeners of consciousness itself, helping every species discover the quantum connection that bound all thinking beings together. The revolution was complete, but the real adventure was just beginning. The ND.